Shiawassee.
Hi, good evening. Thank you. Just want to give a quick update. Homeless Angels, Shiawassee campus, I am now the director, is going to get started on the remodel. So we're going to do the build out starting within the next few weeks. We're trying to hook up with contractors. If anybody knows of anybody, I'm just talking to the sheriff. We need donations of time, HVAC, drywall, plumbing, all of that good stuff is what we're trying to put together. We are also still looking for monetary donations at this point. We're about halfway there on that. We're going to get a group of us to do the 100 Women Who Care, hoping that that brings in some good money there. And we'd love to take anybody anytime over, show the blueprint and kind of explain what it's about and what we have. It's a countywide effort, even though the campus is in Shiawassee. So, and we have homelessness throughout the entire county. It's not just our Shiawassee area. So, welcome anyone to want to join in and come see it. I'd be happy to show you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. Is there anybody else who would like to address the board at this time? Okay, hearing none. We'll move on to Econ and Physical Development. With Commissioner Horvath, we have no report unless you have anything to add. Okay, thank you very much. In that case, we'll now move on to County Finance and Administration. Commissioner Plum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item A, I move to authorize the purchase of a VMware licenses from Governor Connection in the amount of $6,434 to be paid from account number 258-804.001 for the server that was placed in the network room of the Sheriff's Department.
Second. We have a motion and a second. The item is open for discussion. Hearing none. All in favor of moving item A to tomorrow signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Okay, item B. I move to adopt the proposed new MERS defined benefit plan agreements designed to carve out all central dispatch employees from existing divisions 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23 and place them in 3 new divisions, 911 Command, 911 Dispatch, after 1/1/2009 and 911 Dispatch prior 11/2009 with a coordinator to verify and execute the documents and forward them to the Municipal Employees Retirement System, along with corrections to the census content for the affected new and existing divisions.
We have a motion on the floor.
I'll second that.
We have a second. Item is open for discussion. Mr. Holzhausen?
Can you give us an update on that, a little bit more detail than that?
Which one?
The whole process.
I'm sorry.
It's item B.
Item
The
B?
MERS, yeah.
The MERS.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, I just thought,
Yes.
had a little bit of public.
Yes, just as I stated for the Finance Committee, one of the problems is that we're taking a lot of money for unfunded liabilities out of both the dispatch and the Sheriff's Department. But there were even some divisions that were called 911 or dispatch, and they had more than dispatchers in it. And they also had dispatchers spread out through the other divisions. The divisions are set up by MERS, and they set them up strictly by what benefits the people get. Well, dispatchers get the same benefits as deputies over at the Sheriff's Department. But because dispatch funds come from a dedicated account, it is important to isolate them in divisions. Therefore, we had MERS create 3 new divisions, of which all of the 911 dispatchers and command are placed into. Now, ultimately, it'll take 4 to 6 weeks or 3 to 6 weeks. We will also get an analysis of what their unfunded liability is, hopefully, and what amounts are supposed to be taken out, so that we can differentiate them correctly and also withdraw money, hold back money from the dispatch account to cover their expenses, but that aren't covering other expenses.
I have a couple questions about the MERS thing that were asked of me about, so when you're talking about 3 to 6 weeks, is that the audit that we're expecting back in 3 to 6 weeks, or a report back on?
That is not the audit, that is the actuarial analysis
Okay,
that MERS prepares when they create divisions or make changes that affect what potential liability and payments are. I think I've stated before, we pay about $175,000 a month towards unfunded liability to MERS. We pay $125,000 a month for active. And it's a lot. And but because that's a dedicated fund over there, it's important that we know
right.
to allot the right amount. And our previous finance director had simply allotted the unfunded liability half and half between the sheriff's department and 911. That's probably not the correct ratio, but it was hard to determine it with the current divisions.
So do we have a timeline on the audit at all, or?
The audit will probably come later. That is actually being done, I believe. The board authorized funding for an audit
Okay.
for the 911. That will come probably, more appropriately, would come after MERS has sent over their
Right.
actuarial analysis.
So is the audit started, or it will start after the actuarial analysis?
It might start before.
Okay.
I imagine the board will probably approve the audit to be done in February.
Okay.
I mean, that's up to them, but I imagine that'll be approved at that time, and they may get started, and that may be before we actually get the actuarial analysis. They're not exactly the same thing.
Yep, okay, that
Okay.
helps, thank you.
Commissioner Olson?
Yeah, I'm on the 911 board, and they want authorization from the board. It's gonna be on the agenda, I hope, next month, so that they can get into, the auditor can get in the MERS account. We have to have permission from the board to do that.
Yes.
And that's what we gotta start doing.
Yes, I believe that'll be
Yeah.
before the board next month.
Yeah. So now we'll start moving.
We have to make sure, though, that it's one thing to have authorization to go in and look at it. I don't know that if MERS allows a distinction between going in and looking at it and making changes, but whatever it is, we'll try to get that clarified.
I think it's just looking at it. I mean,
Yeah, I know that's all they need, and that's all they want. We just gotta make sure
Yeah.
that MERS can make that distinction.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Are there any other questions regarding item B? Hearing none. All in favor of moving on to tomorrow signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move to authorize the emergency manager to purchase 11 ballistic vests in the amount of $4,059 and 10 ballistic helmets in the amount of $2,890. Total is $6,949 from ProTech Security Sales, invoice number 000413-RO, to be paid from the Homeland Security Grant, line item 101-426-940000.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on item C. Open for discussion. Basically 100% grant money, free new stuff. Pretty good. So in that case, all in favor of moving on, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
I move to authorize the Sheriff's Office, effective 01/07/2019, to hire a part-time fleet maintenance quartermaster special deputy, starting at step 1 of salary grade, $12.38 per hour, for up to 25 hours per week, or 50 hours per bi-weekly pay period.
So we have a motion. Second. We have a second. Items open for discussion, questions. Commissioner Olshausen.
Yeah, is this a new position?
It was a new position, but it's currently going to be funded out of our current budget.
And I have a question for the sheriff too. I noticed that your personnel budget is less this year than it was last year. So if you're funding this out of the current budget, do you have people retiring? Is there other stuff what's happening that you have, that you're hiring more people and you have less budget? And I'm sure it's a good explanation. I just like to.
We did come in under budget last year, and I can't tell you exactly why. I mean, there's always been numbers that fluctuate up and down with our employees. We're 6 deputies down right now, but the budget is what it is, and looking at the actuaries, we see that there's room for those positions, so we think that'd be a good idea.
Commissioner Holzhausen.
I know we need a lot of people, but I think everybody else likes to have extra people in there. I'm sure Ms. Wilson would like extra people, and everybody else wants some part-time people, so I just think we should probably be saving more money and not take on some new positions.
Any other questions, comments?
I will say that this position, I gave a long description of it yesterday, and the position actually will pay for itself. We're actually losing money by not having that position right now, either through some of the things that we can acquire through the 1033, and even one item that he's able to secure. For instance, the skid loader that I sold, that we acquired for that, it's just sold for $19,000. Just having somebody to acquire one piece of equipment like that will pay his salary. And there's many instances to acquire things of that nature that we can utilize at work and save the county, potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it really is a savings in the long run.
Is this person brought in just when needed, or is that?
He's donated thousands of hours over the last several years, and he's there. He volunteers on a regular basis to transport the cars for service, to shop for the best deal on tires, for whatever it may be. So he's there, but yeah, he comes in to volunteer his time, but there's other duties we like to give him and compensate him for that.
I see. So he'll be assuming it's some regular hours, though part-time. It's not just when.
He volunteers right now at least 40 hours a week, so all it will be is just compensating him basically for some of the time he's already volunteering for.
And I think you mentioned on Monday's meeting that he's estimating that he's going to be working about 20 hours a week.
About 20 hours a week.
Yeah.
Any other questions, discussion on the item? Okay, hearing none. Item D, all in favor of moving on, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign.
Right.
Motion carries.
I move to authorize the Sheriff's Office, effective 01/07/2018, to hire a part-time community corrections special deputy, starting at step 1 of salary grade 1, $12.30 per hour, for up to 25 hours per week or 50 hours per bi-weekly pay period.
A motion, we now have a second on item E. Any discussion or questions on item E?
Yes, I guess I do. What are we doing right now in terms of, somebody's collecting money?
If you know who it is, let me know. No, honestly, we collect about 2%. And there isn't anything done. In the past, it was given to a correctional deputy to come in on their time off and for compensation, time and a half, what have you, to do some of the billings. A long time ago, it was given to a collection agency with not real good results either. So we modeled this policy after Macomb County, and I think there was a question yesterday, how successful is the program, and it's about 46%. So we hope that through this new model policy, we're going to be able to at least increase some of what we previously have gotten. And something new on that side, we've had an additional meeting today. You can't collect from everybody, but we're going to make a valiant effort to do that. And we may be able to, for some people who just absolutely can't pay, one of the problems I have right now, I don't have any minimum security inmates. And I have VFW on a regular basis who wants people, all sorts of township cities, and we may be able to offer those people who absolutely cannot pay, if they want to volunteer to come in to do some community service, then we may be able to excuse some of that debt. So at least we'll be getting something back to the community whoever it may be. Maybe they have some type of trade or skill or something that they're able to utilize, but we'll be able to get something than nothing. So,
Well, can you quantify how much, if you mentioned 2%, I don't know what that means in dollars or whatever. Could you quantify that a little bit in terms of what this person is how much this amounts to?
well, we charge $30 a day. So we would hope to collect $30 a day from those locally sentenced inmates. But we're flexible. If they're willing to get on a payment plan and want to pay, I mean, we're going to try to get anything we can, Commissioner, because right now we're not. So go ahead.
Oh, my other question is, do you have, off the top of your head, it can be a ballpark, what are the accounts receivable in terms of fees right now that have not been paid by inmates? So if you knew the total, is it $1 million, is it 40,000? What is the unpaid amount that's owed to the jail?
There's a stack back there and nothing's being done with it, and that's why there's nobody to go through that right now.
So you don't know what the total
I
is,
couldn't tell
total
you.
collected?
There's a stack of them that nobody's even billing.
And nobody's paid.
Nobody's paid, nobody's billing.
How do we know that we're at 1 or 2%?
That's what I'm being told by the lieutenant that takes the money from the jail.
I mean, I worked with collecting from, customers that I've worked with in the past and this type of thing, in the businesses I've been involved with. I have a hard time understanding 25 hours devoted to this. And so,
Well, that's not the only thing that he would be doing. There's a list of other things. We have potential contracts that we think that can be secured with other agencies. In other words, the Hamtramck District Court wasn't happy they'd sentenced somebody for 30 days. They weren't doing 30 days. They were being booked in the Wayne County Jail and let out. So the Hamtramck judge said, no, if I sentence them, I want them in jail. So they sought us out. We've also heard that there's other agencies down that way that would like to sign similar contracts. So we need somebody to explore those possibilities, not only with state, but federal as well. We haven't housed a federal marshal in our facility since 2000. I met with the U.S. Marshals recently, rekindled those relationships. It was ended very abruptly and severed. There was some really ill feelings. I was able to restore those. They're now willing to come back to our facility. They want to take a look at things and work with us. But I don't always have the time to do that. This would give me an opportunity to dedicate somebody to do those type of things that potentially could gain the county tens of thousands of dollars.
when you mention potentially, do you mean annually or?
Oh, annually, it could be hundreds of thousands of dollars. But
Really?
it just depends on, how many we're able to get. I mean, I can't guarantee anything until we try, so if we can get 10 prisoners for a year, we can make $100,000. So.
Wow. I'm having a hard time doing the quick math, but that's okay. That's okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other commissioner discussion, questions on the item? All right, hearing none. Let's see, item E, all in favor of moving on to tomorrow, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign.
Yes.
Aye.
Two yes, 2 nays. Motion carries.
I move to authorize the current part-time emergency manager as a full-time salaried position at $80,000 per year under such terms and with such benefits as provided by the county's personnel policy, except that the employee in this case will be provided vacation time at the 16 years of service rate, will not contribute to nor receive any benefit from the county's pension plan, and will not receive any payout for unused vacation or sick time during or upon separation from employment. Note that the $80,000 salary is provided 63% Shiawassee County, $50,400, and 37% State of Michigan Emergency Management Program grant would equal $29,600.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor.
Second.
Second, now the item's open for discussion. Questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna hang with what the wage study says, level 9. That's basically a $6,000 wage. I just feel that we've had this wage study done, and I also will frame that, my discussion in the fact, I can certainly look into what other counties our size pay for an emergency services manager. But at this time, I don't want to be out of the wage study parameters. Maybe level 9 should be level 10 or whatever, but that's my discussion. I know the gentleman has been excellent in his job, and he comes with, a lot of people say he's done an excellent job, and certainly we're trying to keep and retain him. Also too is that 16 years of service, I think that includes the maximum vacation pay at that level. I think was at 25 days, 16 years, something like that. And then with holidays, I believe that ends up being 41 days off a year. I mean, that's a pretty good perk to give someone. I think you worked a year and a half, Trent, you worked here a year and a half?
Correct.
Okay. Year and a half, but he has a lot of experience, and he comes with a lot of experience. And of course, we don't pay, we're not going to contribute to the pension plan for him, sick days, all those kind of things. I don't think you have to have Blue Cross Blue Shield, that's correct, okay? I mean, all that figures in too, but I'm just going to, at this point, my vote will go along with the county wage study. And that's just, that means the wage study said it was 80,000, I'd probably go along with it, but I gotta go with what's been done. We can change that in the future if we find something different. I know it's a single position, and it's come about over the last several years because of 9/11, and it's growing in stature, and it's growing in need. So, but that's just my discussion on this topic.
And I think what would be helpful for me is to see some justification for why we're going from part-time to full-time. Is there something being left undone? What will the additional responsibilities be? I mean, just to say we want to go from part-time to full-time, and it's a very large increase from our budget when things are already really tight, and it's way out of line with the wage study. It's not just a little bit out. It's not a little raise, a little above. It's very far above the wage study, and I think that puts other county employees in a really difficult position. Why don't we give everybody 30 or 40% above the wage study? Everybody is needed in their job and valued, and I would like to think we've hired good people in all the positions we have. So just being really good at what you do, although I have no doubt that Mr. Atkins is, doesn't necessarily mean that it would justify going in that amount of excess above the wage study. That concerns me.
Yes, Commissioner Olson.
I've been working with the county for several years. I think I've seen at least 6 or more, maybe more than that. I haven't got emergency managers, and they've all done a good job. I think we've had some that done better, and I think he's probably doing an excellent job. I've talked to a lot of township people, and they think he's really great, and I think he's doing an excellent job. My only concern is like the wage study. I don't know if we've actually go as low as the wage study, but it should be somewhere in between. I think it's just a little bit too much at one time for the other employees. But I think Trent's doing a good job. I've talked to other township people, and they really like him, so that's not the problem.
And I think maybe one of the possibilities is to keep within the wage study and then maybe give a buyout on some benefits so that you're maintaining the job as within the wage study. So if he moves on to some other place, the next employee isn't going to come along and take a $50,000 or $60,000 a year salary when the guy before him got paid $80,000. It's just too far out of line for what we can afford, for what the wage study says, and with what other communities our size are doing.
I thought it was important to note that there was $50,000 budgeted for that position. He is increasing his hours that he works. This thus increases the percentage that the state reimburses So this is only a $400 increase over what was actually budgeted for his position. It's not like we're moving up that substantially because of the state reimbursement. Mr. Atkins stays busy on a regular basis all day long, initiates many things of his own. I don't think there's any lack of work for him being done. There's probably room to expand in that department if we were to operate like we want to as far as developing safety plans for some of the bigger events that come in this kind, like the 1225, things like that. There's room for real catastrophes there, and planning ahead helps prevent some of that stuff, and we have the man right here that's capable of doing it. So I think we should take advantage of that opportunity before he leaves, or go somewhere else, because somebody offers him double what we're even talking about paying him. There are a lot of private sectors out there looking for people just like him, and it might not be public. But I guess my opinion is, why can't Shiawassee County have the best? If we can keep them, I think we should try.
Maybe I comment.
Sure.
I would just comment for the board. This has traditionally been a full-time position. It was kind of an aberration that it was taken down to part-time. If done correctly, the job probably does require full-time work, and my understanding is almost all emergency managers are full-time. As far as the pay and wage scale, again, there were other factors when the wage scale was made, and this is a unique position. It would not necessarily lead to adjustments by other employees in the classified service, because it is a singular position, upper level. And then finally, with regard to Commissioner Plowman's concern about the 16 years of service rate with regard to vacation time, the fact that there's no payout being provided for sick or vacation time negates it as an economic issue. So, you know, it depends on how you want to look at it beyond that, but it's not an economic factor due to the fact that there's no payout. So, you know,
Thank you for that.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I like the discussion that's going on here. In particular, I do like what Commissioner Webster just mentioned about some sort of a buyback or whatever it refers to on benefits and this type of thing. I'd like to hear what maybe those might amount to, and be able to better understand how that might be able to work out.
I don't know that we have numbers like that prepared for this meeting, and I don't know that we'd be able to really prepare them by tomorrow. We put a lot on.
If I could ask, what do you mean by buyback of benefits?
Well, okay, so I think you were just explaining some of this, but I see here that he's not going to be receiving the county's pension plan, would not receive payout for unused vacation or sick time, and so maybe rather than offering $80,000, we actually give a buyout on those benefits and bring his salary down, so at least it keeps a placeholder in that position of a salary that's more in line with the wage study. It won't be. It's not going to be $80,000, but just trying to come up with a compromise number somewhere between the top end of the wage study, which I believe is 56, if I'm not mistaken, Commissioner Plowman,
56.
and 80. That's a very big range. You know, if we want to exceed the wage study and we can have a good justification for that, that's fine. But 80 just seems like an excessive exceeding of the wage study.
I think, I understand. I think if we were, and maybe we can do some checking, but I think if you compared him to counties and cities with emergency managers, which is all of them, I think you'd find almost all of them were in this range. I don't want to say, or higher. I don't want to say that without checking, but emergency managers, again, if done right, and every appearance is that he does do it right, it takes considerable attention and time, and is treated as a full-time job in almost any area I've seen. Now, I mean, I could easily stand corrected if there was evidence to the contrary, but I believe it is almost entirely a full-time position in most
Well,
places.
and having comparables, I think, would be really helpful as a support to why we would exceed, and we don't have that. We're a 68,000 person county, or 70,000, where we are right now. How much does their emergency manager get paid? If everybody else is getting paid 80,000 in a 70,000 person county, I don't have a problem with that, but that means our wage study is out of line. I just think we need to, that's what I'm asking to see in front of us, is more support and verification about this very large increase that's creating already quite a stir in the community.
Yes.
You know, I'd like to, I'm sure you probably thought of this, if we decrease the wage, you decrease the percentage of the state reimburses. If Mr. Atkins decides to leave, we can bring in a $50,000 emergency manager who probably won't know half of what he knows or how to do it, how to, or have the abilities to negotiate the $30,000 savings on the emergency alert system, or how to investigate some of these hazardous sites and collect the most money we've ever collected before through site inspections, or how to get the grants such as the ballistic helmets, or how to organize some of these active violence incident trainings, or, and I could go on and on. We can have that $50,000 person, but you're not going to get Trent Atkins. And for what you're budgeting, $50,000, you're going to get a guy who's probably, like I said, in the private sector, could probably go make $160,000. So something to consider.
What is 37% of 50,000?
I'd have to.
It's about
18,000.
17, so that'd put it at about 68,000. The state will reimburse us at $50,000, they'll give us 18, which would put that salary at 68, right? That seems more in line with a reasonable number to me.
Mr. Atkins, do you have any comments?
Yeah, just real quickly, first of all, as a resident of Shiawassee County, I appreciate the conversation and, the concern about the budget. A couple things I just wanted to mention. Certainly, I'm not here to beg for a job. But I think what's important to understand is in coming to that $80,000 figure, not only is it a very fair salary, but considering the amount of money that the county would save in paying for MERS as a retirement for me annually, and then beyond retirement. So the benefit to me is that I get the money up front. The benefit to you is that you don't have me as a long-term liability to add to that $300,000 a month that you pay.
Well, and I think that's what I was saying when I was talking about some sort of buyout. You're saving us money because you're not in MERS. Maybe we could put a benefits package together and still keep that salary amount at a reasonable amount, so that we give you a buyout on what we save on MERS or some percentage of it, and still keep it more in line with what everybody else in the county is getting paid.
I got it.
Yes, sir.
I know we have a problem in the county. A lot of times people want to leave and they compare us to Clinton County, and that's kind of nice. Clinton County's got just a few more population, but their county budget is about $10 million more than ours. I mean, $10 million, so everybody over there gets more money, and if everybody wants more money, the sheriff or anybody else, they're gonna go over there because they can get a lot more money. And there's nothing we can do about those things. I mean, we took $1,555,000 out of the delinquent tax fund. If we save $10 here, or $1,000 there, or $2,000 there, we gotta save it someplace. I'm not saying this is 100% where we're gonna save it, but we gotta start someplace with the sheriff things, and everybody wants everything, everybody wants more people, they want more, they're gonna save more. I mean, I just don't know where, it's hard to compete with those other counties when they got $10 million more in their budget. And I don't know what, all these other counties, if they can pay $140,000, I mean, they're just gonna have to do it. We're just not gonna be able to keep up with all those other counties. It's tough here. I mean, I see the, right down the line, I think he's a great guy, I think everything's great, but it's just, I don't know, where it's gonna stop, so.
Sounds like on this end at least, it's more about what happens when he goes than getting him the money he deserves. Is there a way to put like a reversion clause that if when he retires it goes back to the original wage study, or is that not even a thing?
It just goes back to the worst.
I'm concerned about a little more of that. I mean, I think I'm concerned about current perception of other county employees and about whether we can continue to afford, as Mr. Holzhausen just said, to add things when we already know that we're tight, and that's an understatement.
True. Please keep in mind that this is something that was budgeted for last year, so the money is there. It isn't like we're adding it in addition to. And I would caution against making judgments, and as much as we are here for the county employees, we're also here for the other 68,000 people in this county too. You know, we're not here just to represent county employees. There's a variety of people.
Absolutely.
So some people are going to be, whenever you hire someone, they're going to make more than someone that's already here. There's going to be some animosity. And yes, it is going to cause a stir. My personal opinion on this, and I won't exhaust myself because I spoke on it on Monday, is that we have a real good emergency manager I don't think we can replace. This quality, he pays for himself in a lot of ways already as part-time, through all the grants he comes through the time and the training he has. He's given our deputies, he's run trainings at schools and hospitals. That's invaluable. I don't see that happening at other counties. And here we are, Shiawassee County, we are one of the poorer counties around. And for once we have a beacon, something we can be proud of. And I suspect we're on the cusp of making a decision where we're going to lose that. And not only is that a detriment, I think, it's devastating, it's an embarrassment.
I don't want to belabor this point, but I'm still trying to understand if we budgeted $50,000 and the state will reimburse us for or add a third, which would be adding about 17,000 more. That would put that at 67,000. Where's that other 13,000 in the budget?
One thing on that, they don't add a third.
Yeah,
They
Whatever the
contribute
total,
a third.
for whatever total is, they.
Okay, so really in our budget, if we said his salary was 50, we were gonna pay 32 of that, approximately. They're gonna pay something like that. No, don't hold me to the math. So our cost was gonna be 52. Out of 80, what is our actual cost would be
50,000.
50,000.
Would,
Again, no benefits, no MERS. That number does pop out, and it will generate some buzz with people when they first say it was $80,000. But we are elected to know there's always something more in it. There's no MERS. That does factor big time. And he pays for himself with a lot of grants, and he's going to continue to do so. And God, I hate to lose him. I really would.
And just for the record, the percentage, this is just for the salary, that same percentage, as I understand it, the 37% also applies to the payroll taxes. For example, the 35% of the Social Security, 35% of the workers' comp, 35% of the unemployment direct cost, indirect cost. It applies to those two, that 37% payment by the grant.
Richard Holzhausen.
Yeah, I know you said it's in the budget. I mean, we could put more and more in the budget and maybe get $1,000,008 out of the banquet tax fund. I mean, where are we gonna stop? I mean, it's not just this, it's that whole budget system. We should have only brought 500,000, and we should be cutting someplace, most likely. I don't know how many years we can keep going and doing this, so. I mean, I'm looking at 4 or 5 years ahead. I mean, what are we gonna do the next year? Are we gonna budget more yet? We're gonna take $1,200,000 or $2 million out of there? I mean, it's gonna stop sometime. We're gonna have to go down with putting it in the budget.
Well, there is no question that we are in some straits.
Yeah.
We are, and we need to find ways to make that money. We need to make profit. We need to invest
Yeah.
money, get growth in this county. I don't know that $18,000 difference in this one employee is gonna sink the county.
Oh, no.
But we gotta have some growth and there'll be discussion on, county master plan, things like that, I'm sure this year, that we've gotta really take a look at, we do. But we don't govern necessarily expecting complete devastation. It's our job to think of what we can do to curb that. In the meantime, we gotta keep excellence.
No, I think like, you know,
I'd like to call the question.
We have a second on the question. Question's been called.
Second.
We gotta vote on, we have a second on the question.
If there's no objection to calling the question, you can go ahead and proceed.
Hearing no objections, we will, it sounds like we got a roll call item F, so Madam Clerk, if you would, please.
Commissioner Webster?
No.
Commissioner Olshausen?
No.
Commissioner Horvath?
no,
Commissioner Root?
Yes.
Commissioner Garber?
Yes.
Commissioner Marks?
Yes. Motion fails. Item G, Commissioner?
Commissioner Plowman, you roll.
You know which way you go. Usually the chair votes last, so.
You know what,
Screw that up. That's
I
fine.
did, yes.
Still my fault.
That's okay, my wife treats me that way.
I'll try to follow that.
What I would like to have further discussion a little bit. I think that between today and tomorrow, we can work on something that maybe we could all come together on. I don't know if it'll be enough, but I'm sort of well aware of what we save if we don't pay health insurance, sick time, or vacation, no pension to MERS, and so on and so forth. So with that, if we'd like to do that, come in early tomorrow, a couple of us, and talk about what we can do, we certainly could do that.
Will it be on the agenda? I mean, we just voted not to move it to tomorrow night, so we'd have to
it won't,
put it
but-
back
It
on.
still hangs on.
You could,
Okay.
you could clarify and do a motion to reconsider to carry it forward.
Yeah.
You're not really, that's correct, you're really not voting on it.
Right.
And given that you want it to be open here, my suggestion would be that you reconsider the vote to carry it forward until tomorrow. Now, there will be an ultimate vote, and if the vote goes the same way, obviously we vote it down. But
I made the motion, I would include that in my motion.
to carry it forward,
Yeah. Tomorrow.
Any objections to that?
There's a second.
Second.
Okay.
Did you second that?
I did.
voice vote and carry it forward.
Yeah. it was carried over.
Any other discussion on that? Hearing none, voice vote, all in favor of item F moving it to tomorrow, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries to tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would move to authorize the Sheriff's Office to hire a corrections officer, POLC correction officer salary grade of $38,014 to $42,717, starting at $38,014 to fill a vacancy.
Motion on the floor, item G.
Second.
Second item's now open for discussion, questions. Hearing none, all in favor of moving on to tomorrow, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
I move to appoint David Moons, MD, with a PhD, as a deputy medical examiner for Shiawassee County, effective 03/01/2019.
Second.
The motion, we have a second, item's open for discussion. I know that this is an item that wasn't on committee earlier in the week, it must have just came today or yesterday.
It came yesterday in an email. This is a very routine administrative action. We have the medical examiner is Dr. Michael Markey, but they're all through the Sparrow Health System. There's also a deputy medical examiner down there, Mr. Patrick Hansma. Mr. David Moons is joining them from the Wayne County Medical Examiner's Office. Like I said, this comes up routinely. They just need the board to authorize them as a deputy medical examiner so that autopsies they do and so forth can be used by the prosecutor or the health services as needed. It doesn't increase cost, but not that our medical examiner contract with Sparrow Hospital isn't very expensive. It's $172,000, but this has nothing to do with affecting the price of it. He's just one person who can do it.
Okay, is there any other discussion on this item or questions? All right, hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Plowman. At this time, we'll move on to public safety and courts. We had no meeting earlier this week, but is there anything new to report, Commissioner Webster?
I would just like to say that I noticed that several items that ended up on finance probably should have been on public safety and courts, and I think even this whole thing with the emergency manager, if we had a process, and I don't know what the process has been, where some of this discussion, if this happened over a couple of months of time, so if it came to public safety and courts first, and we talk about the need for the position and what's being left undone and what are other counties doing, and then the next month it goes to finance or vice versa, so that they're not happening, these decisions are being made all in a row, 4 days in a row. We have very little time, and then we have to do things like we just did to say, we gotta have another day to think about this. So I would like for that, you know, to be part of the process of deciding what goes on public safety in courts, and I don't know how that typically happens, but I want to be sure that we have a meeting when there are these kinds of things that maybe some of these big decisions should be 2-month processes, so that we have a little more time to gather information and make better informed decisions. So I don't know who decides when the meetings happen and when they don't, but if my meeting is being canceled, I'd like to know before I open the agenda. I'd like it not to be canceled.
Very fair.
And I would add this, if she's chairman of the committee, you can always call me and look at any items you want. But you can call it a committee meeting.
But you know, it isn't unusual. We have very few items to pack it all into one committee. A lot of times, when summertime comes around, people on vacation, it may happen, so we try to figure out the day that everybody can be there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand that, and I also know that I'm new, and so I wouldn't necessarily have known all the things that need to be there anyway. The other thing that was suggested to me at new commissioner training was maybe separating our weeks so that we have committees, and I know this is another week for people to commit, but committees 1 week, and then committee for the whole and board of commissioners the next. Again, just to give a little time, I'd like to have a little more time to go talk to some of my constituents and township supervisors about some of these proposals. But when all these things happen 3 days in a row, it's a little hard to get the input and all the study that needs to happen. So I just, you know, trying to make things a little more stretched out would be helpful, at least to me, to be able to have things go through a couple different committees so they've been looked at really well before we make final decisions. That's my public safety.
Very good. Sure, yes.
Yeah. I've been here on several years, everybody must know that. And quite often, there's not anything on public safety or on health. And they used to always meet twice a month and do the same thing. 90% of our agenda things are pretty well, just like filling the deputy's position. And so 90%, just like the same way with the medical examiner and all those things I've been through. I know it's all new to you, but 90% of our things are pretty well routine, you might say. You know, so once in a while we have something, this issue, but you know, very seldom we do. And if you want to, you can always get them ahead of time and talk with other commissioners and call them. So sometimes you can just talk those to death and work them to death, and it's still not change things. So
I mean, we
I
get
don't
the
think
agendas on
with
Friday.
extra expense we gotta have it. We're trying to save money, not
Yeah.
spend more. So
Right. But we don't get the agendas till Friday, so we wouldn't know. We don't. This just doesn't give a
well,
lot of
it'd be
time.
nice to
for
get it a little
discussion.
quicker, but
Yeah.
we're supposed to have a cutoff on putting them on there too, but sometimes we're still slipping them through.
I know 911 missed a deadline this month,
Yeah.
and you had to wait a month. So. Thank you, Commissioner Webster, for your report. At this time, we'll go ahead and we'll move on to Health and Human Services, Commissioner Garber.
I am.
Okay. In that case, we'll move on to the chairman of the board, Commissioner Rubin. The floor.
Just have a couple of things to look forward to probably for next month. I did get a letter from the road commission on them wanting to forego benefits in lieu of an increase in salary. Kind of worded a little differently because it states the current commissioners can keep their benefits and their retirement and not get the increase, but anyone that's newly elected from here on out won't be afforded the opportunity to have benefits or retirement. They'll just get the salary increase. So that'll be something for you guys to look forward to next month, being that this body oversees the wages for the elected road commissioners. That'll be something that'll be in your packets next month to look at, probably a little sooner than that. And then something else we need to think about next month is probably formally deciding a plan for the moves of our county offices. The health department is going to be moving in out of district court and into their building in March. We're thinking, I believe, June, July for the building and drain office. So at this time, we should probably, I know we've put some things out there about where MSU was going to go, kind of a musical chairs type situation. We have a public defender that's currently in the conference room on the 3rd floor, which is not conducive. It's horrible for them. You know, the veterans and their board have been displaced to down here. So there's things we need to look at. Some of the preliminary things we were thinking about, just a rough thing, but we obviously the board will. I think the board should have a formal plan of what we want to do and where we want to put these offices. The initial idea was MSU would come out of the Norton Street buildings when the drain office vacates and take the 1st floor of the Capitan Center. It would free, you know, and then the youth center up there on Norton Street would go into the lower level of district court. As far as the public defender, we're uncertain where that was going. Talk has been splitting the lower level of district court, youth center, public defender. I think there's some controversy around that, so we certainly need to look at.
Normally, like the public defender is dealing with people that are in trouble, and to have them mixing in with youth, kids, tough situation.
But we have an opportunity, a unique opportunity with the public defenders that they can pay for space and pay for a build out. So if we do need to acquire space, that would be the entity that would be best to try to go out and get space because we can be reimbursed.
Can't we get paid for whatever we put them down there?
Yeah,
There's lots of
I
room.
believe we
They're
could
not-
not reimbursed for being down.
They're in separate hallways, so they're not gonna be
Use the
mixing
same,
each other.
use the same stairs and the same elevator.
Yeah, but that's kind of my, but just things to look forward to next month. I do think we need a formal plan on that. I think,
We'll leave Kibit's spot. Yep.
yeah, I think
Yep.
They all
Talk
go
about,
through security, so I don't know.
probate, I think you guys should be included in the discussion, to figure out what we,
In the same bathroom, let's just point that out, which is weird.
yes, yeah. Well, certainly need to have more discussions on it. I know we've thrown some things out there of what we're kind of hoping, but it's getting real that buildings are gonna be moving here pretty soon in March, so, early March, so we need to kind of try to tackle that here this month and then the rest of this month and into February on what we're gonna wanna do with that. But other than that, that's all I have for today. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Now we'll move on to other agenda items. Is there any commissioner with any other agenda items or just?
I just wanted to ask about the road commission. I've been here all these years and we never decided anything. Is that something new the road commission's doing? They're taking away some of their?
Yeah, they are taking away some benefits. They're adopted every year in our budget. We adopt their salaries, it's
Oh.
usually in our budget. Now, the thing is, their salaries haven't changed in 40 years probably. So yeah, there's been no reason for any type of change to come before this board. So it's all fairly new. They did a wage study similar to what we did and looked around and seen different road commissions and the benefits and perks that they have in comparison to the salaries. And I think they're just trying to look at, you know, I don't know how I feel about current commissioners keeping benefits and retirement, but new ones not being allotted those. I don't even know if that's legal.
I think it's something, I actually think it's
There's some
something
limitations.
that, yeah, there are municipalities and school districts, I think, that are kind of moving toward that. They're not gonna take away stuff from people that have had it, but one way to, it wouldn't reduce the MERS liability, but it would help it to stop snowballing is to stop putting new people on it and giving them money instead. They take care of it now, and then we don't have a liability, so.
Well, the ones that are on it right now could maintain it to the end of their term that they're
Right.
in. After that, they could also be
Changes.
Could move out, yeah.
It certainly doesn't help them avoid the appearance of trying to box out, there's being that they're elected officials instead of just an employee.
Yeah,
that's hired.
I don't know.
The board doesn't have to let them.
Right, well, yeah,
Well, anyway, it'll be a good discussion.
no doubt. Anything else? All right, last month, we had a expiration of the planning commission board, and we were unable to refill that vacancy because we had a commissioner, we had a quorum, but we had a commissioner missing, and it ended in a 3-3 vote. So I'm interested in bringing forth that question again in front of the new board, because we still have an expired planning commission seat sitting on there. And the individual who made it through all the rigmarole the last month, his name was Michael Blackledge. Currently seated as Tom Foster. His expired, but he has to sit on there until he is relieved, and he did apply, so it's kind of between Michael Blackledge and Tom Foster. And so I would be interested in entertaining a motion to appoint Michael Blackledge and just put the question before the board to the Planning Commission representing government, which is another qualification for that seat, has to be someone in or former government. Effective immediately to a 3-year term from, I guess, Friday after the meeting, to 12/31/21, or until a successor is appointed, and authorize the board chair to execute all necessary documents.
I support.
Well, there is no motion on the board, but I'm interested in entertaining.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, so,
And make good support here.
Oh, okay.
You want me to-
I thought you was making the motion.
I can't.
You can't.
Oh, I thought this was something different. I understood you put it
So we do have a motion, but do we have a second? Did you?
in. Yeah, I
Okay, so it is open for discussion, questions, anything like that.
Thank you. Tom Foster has been serving on the board before. I got been appointed to the planning commission, which I'm really looking forward to. But my stack of books are like this. And, I have served on the planning commission before, so I kind of know what it's about. But boy, that experience pays off. It pays off tremendously on that board. And the board chose to replace one of the other experienced commissioners there during last month's meeting. I personally really want to be sure that planning commission has people who know what they're doing. Because I'll be busy from now until my meeting next week working on this whole thing, and I'm serious. That experience is meaningful.
Is it Blackledge, is that what you said?
Yes.
He has to be serving in a current government position, you said, or in a
Or he was once an elected, I believe,
Yes.
trustee in Vernon Township. He
Okay.
lives in Woodhull Township, so moving out of his
All right.
former.
I was just curious to know where he was or had served.
District 7, technically Florence District.
Yes.
Any other questions or discussion? Once again, this is just, I believe, in my opinion, it's for him. I favored him last month. Like I said, 3-3 is a fail. So this is my way of just giving him the one last try. I'd like to see him be put on. However, if he isn't, then it goes to Tom Foster, and maybe we come back next month with a list of names, however it's got to be. And maybe Foster gets through, maybe not, I don't know. But this is just kind of finalizing last month's yes or no, and then we can go from there.
So we have a roll call vote.
We can roll call it if you. We ready to vote? Any other discussion?
Did I hear the motion against this?
Yes, sir.
Motion to appoint.
Yeah, motion to appoint Michael Blackledge to the Planning Commission representing government for a 3-year term, beginning immediately to 12/31/21, or until a successor is appointed, and authorize the board chair to execute all necessary documents. And I'll get this to you if it so passes.
Commissioner Olshausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Horvath,
No.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner Garber,
Yes.
Commissioner Conley,
Yes.
Commissioner Webster,
Yes?
Chairman Marks.
Yes. Motion will pass, and we'll move on to tomorrow for the discussion. So,
By the way, I know him. He's
is he a good guy?
oh yeah. He's very knowledgeable.
That's what I heard. So, Coordinator Henry and I appreciate if we can put that on for tomorrow's agenda. That said, we'll move on to our final opportunity for public comments. Former Commissioner, Stryker, you are on.
Would you like me to sign in and all that, G?
Oh, yes, definitely.
On behalf of the Veterans Affairs Committee, we had Commissioner Garber came in and sat in on our meeting just a little while ago, and I hope to see you there many, many more times.
You will.
You buy the coffee. And that's the invite is open to everyone. Please come in and check us out, keep us straight. Okay. Other than that, I congratulate y'all for being here and getting elected. Even John, who he and I don't like each other, but
Well, that's cool.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyhow, it's nice to see that you guys are doing things. Marlene,
Yes.
keep asking questions. Don't take no for an answer from any of these yahoos. Just stand your ground. That's the way to do it. Because all the questions you asked tonight has been asked by every one of us when we became commissioners. You know, why are we meeting? Why aren't we getting enough information and all that? There's all kinds of reasons why not. But find out about them and try and change them. Him, you gotta watch.
3 minutes.
Other than that,
People take you seriously when you say things like that.
well, I served for 4 years on the board with half of these people. Yeah.
Almost said idiots.
Yes,
You almost did.
I was trying to be nice, but in your case, I'm not going to try anymore.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, anyone else? I skipped over you earlier, and I'm sorry, I just now remembered.
No, that's fine. I
A
did,
little form, Les.
I didn't
We got a new.
come here with the intent of saying anything, but I was interested in the discussion about the emergency manager. It's probably because of his good work and a little bit of luck that I really don't know him, and I certainly don't have any reason not to concur with all the accolades that he has tonight. But one thing, it just causes buzz in my ear. I want to correct us some math here. They were talking about the increase being 30%. It's actually 60%, because you start with 50 and you say, what is 30 of 50? You don't say, what is 30 of 80? So, and I don't, you'll come to the right decision, I'm certain, and I'm not planning a stake on that. But the cautionary tale that I want is how you get to that decision, because I heard several of you kind of working your way there in different ways, like what if we pay him for what the benefits are, what if we, what are other counties paying, what are this, what are that. But the reality, and I've got, Mr. Chairman said it would be an embarrassment to lose them. I've got employees who I'm exceedingly proud of, and I think it would be an embarrassment for me to lose any of them. But I wanted to point out something that didn't come up. This is not the only financially incentivized position in the county. Friend of the court gets financial incentives for what they do and what they collect. Because I had to meet with the friend of the court, and it's very tricky. I mean, sometimes I'm literally better, if Plowman was the deadbeat dad in front of me, I'm better taking $100 or $10 off him today than $100 in 2 weeks, because then we cross into a no pay month, and it's a squirrely bit of business about how they meet their incentives. And I also have a finance employee that I was able to swipe from the clerk's office, and her first year, since we've talked about collections too, her first full year on the job, she increased collections $38,000, which I believe is more than her salary, or at least so, and she is following the wage study, as is everyone else. So if you get there, I would like you to figure, if you could help me, when she asks me that question, you know, why am I bringing in more than my salary and stuck with a wage study? Help me with an answer to that question. And that's all I have. I would concur that he's a fantastic talent, and we'll be lucky to keep him. Tigers would have been lucky to keep Verlander, but you know, it just didn't happen. Lions would be lucky to get anyone. So all I'm saying is I'm not supporting or opposing it. I'm saying the path, if you go to that, the path of how you got there is going to be very important for those of us in leadership positions to be able to explain to our employees who are on the wage study program. Thank you.
That's very fair. Very fair. Any other discussion, questions, address to the board? All right. Hearing none. This meeting is adjourned. Oh,